All right, well, it's been roughly 6 months since I've done much in the shop. Um, so there's a rodeo Bible camp that's coming up here in our hometown, and I wanted to make some knives for some prizes for whatever they want to use them for. So I decided I'd use an old Farrier Rasp. It's a save edge Farrier Rasp. I used to use these quite a little. Um, as far as I could tell, they harden up pretty decent. So I'm just going to make a couple, probably three smaller knives out of this uh, Farrier's Rasp. So first thing I need to do is soften it. So I'm going to throw it in the forge and let it come up to temperature, and and then let it cool down slow, take any hardness out of it, and then I can uh, cut the knife blanks out of it, get them ground up, and then reheat treat. So next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and I'm going to quench the very end of it, just the tang right there. I'm going to quench that. That way I can throw it in the vise and then do a snap test on it just to make sure that this isn't a case hardened um, Farrier Rasp. Sometimes they are case hardened and they don't harden up very well, so I like to just test the tang on it. So I'll take that, get it nice and quenched, and then try not to let that residual heat move back down into the tang. And then I will put it in the vise and do a snap test. Okay, now that the Farrier Rasp the tang is quenched, got it chucked up here in the vise, pretty good and tight. We'll take that and just do a bend test on it and see if it snaps the tang. So yeah, it snapped the end right off. Anyway, snap the end right off. So this is a hardenable one. When you go to anneal those, they definitely warp. So got to straighten that out before I go to cutting the knives out. There we go. Pretty straight now. So now we'll just let that cool down for a bit. And while we let that cool down, I'll get something drawn up the shape that I want to go for. So this is just a little knife that I used to make back in the day. It's been quite a while since I've made one of these. But they have a needle notch in the bottom. And so what that's for is to put on and take off needles off a vaccine gun. So the needles have a square bottom to them. I'm not sure that I have one. Yes, I do. So here is the vaccination needle. And so when you go to put these on a vaccine gun, you put that in there just like that, and it works just like a wrench. You tighten it down like that, spin it, take it off. Works pretty handy. So that's what we're going to go for, is one of these right here. And so as soon as that gets cooled off, we'll get this pattern drawn on there and we'll get them cut out. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grind all these teeth off of here. They are pretty sharp, and we'll just smooth up both sides a little bit. We still want to keep that pattern so we can see that in the finished knife. That's what makes these pretty cool. So I'm going to take it to the grinder and grind off all of the teeth. All right, so there we are. We got it, all the teeth ground off, and I ground off all these on the edge too. That way I don't get stress risers from when I heat treat and get a crack. So there's that. And if I can find my knife somewhere as my pattern, I will get those drawn on there. But for whatever reason, I set it somewhere where I can't find it. Okay, so here we are. Found it. So I'm going to, I want this pattern to be, if you're right-handed, to be on this side so you can see it. I mean, this pattern here is pretty cool too, but I like this one better. So I want this to be on the right-hand side, so opposite of what this one is. So we will draw this one on here like this. All right, so there's the first one. I may end up not getting 3 out of this. We'll see. There we go. We'll go get those cut out. I think I have another piece. Might work. My son kind of started forging on this end, but I think it'll be okay. Oh yeah, I think it'll be fine. So we will get it drawn on there next. Okay, now I'm going to take these, now that I have them rough cut out, I'm going to take them to the grinder and finish up the profile, and then it will be time to grind bevels. Next, we're going to take my height gauge, scribe some center lines. We know where to grind the bevels to. There you can see them. That's where we're going to grind bevels to. Do it on all 3 of them. So right now I'm just going to rough these in, and I'll do final grinding after heat treat. So we're just going to rough these in, and then I'll get my plunge lines and everything all straight after heat treat. Here they are. Bevels all rough ground in there. So next we need to drill the holes right here for the needle notch, because we need to do some filing on those before we heat treat them, and then we'll drill the pin holes as well. So right now we will see if we can get close to center as we can on that one. Let's be smart about this. Maybe. Won't reach, I suppose. Maybe I should use the vise. Drill bit's a little bent. A lot bent. That's better. All right, next we need to file this out so the needle will fit in there. And so we just gotta, it's gonna take quite a bit of filing, but we'll get it. See if we're close. Getting there. Almost. There we go. Sure it fits through both ways. Yep. All right, this one is good for heat treat. All right, I got all the needle notches done. So we're gonna do some thermal cycles. Get these put in there, do some thermal cycles. I probably won't show that because it's kind of boring. And then it'll be time to heat treat. So let's get a couple of these in there. All right, time for the heat treat. All right, let's do the next one. All right, so here we are. These have cooled off a bit. Get some of that oil off of there. All right, so I just have a regular chainsaw file. So that sounds pretty good. This back here shouldn't be hardened. Yep, it's not. Hear the difference in the sound of those. So that one's good. Let's see about this one. Covered in oil. All those little teeth marks in there hold oil. It's covered in oil. Oh yeah, that one's pretty good. Yeah, back is soft. Yeah. Okay, and the last one, which was actually the first one I quenched. Oh yeah, it's good and hard. Yep. All right. So time to get those in the temper oven at about 425 degrees for two 2-hour cycles. So that's going to be it for right now while those temper. They all look pretty straight. All right, so we'll set a timer for 2 hours. All right, so here we are after 2 tempering cycles. So get these cooled off and do some finish grinding. Okay, so I got the flats all cleaned up. I got my carbide file guide on here. Time to refine those plunge lines and finish grind the bevels. So I decided I want to try taking one of these and doing a Scotch-Brite belt finish on the bevels on these. We'll see what it looks like. If it looks decent, then I won't need to hand sand. So we'll see what it looks like using this. I think that'll work. I think that looks pretty decent. Let's go with that. So, I have a great big piece of mesquite wood that I think I'm going to use on for the handles. We'll see how it works out. It's got some wormholes and stuff in it, so I don't know. I might cut me some scales out and see how it goes. Looks like it could be kind of neat. It's got some good grains over in this general area. Never used it before, so I'll give it a try and see what she looks like. All right, so after making lots of cuts on here, all those have wormholes in them somewhere, like that. But I did manage to get enough cut for all 3 knives. So get these all flattened out and then get them profiled and glued on. All right, just to be sure they are good and flat, and bring it over to the surface plate and just do a little sanding on them, make sure they're good and flat. Next, we are going to draw an outline of the tang on here, about where I want the front of the scales to go. All right, that side is rough cut out. We'll get the holes drilled in these and get some pins put in them and then grind them to shape. Okay, so here we go. We got the scales cut out, pins put in. Time to start shaping up the hand a little bit. Need to thin those scales out a whole bunch and shape the front. Get them profiled the same as the knife. Head over to the grinder. Time to do a little rough shaping. So do that before we glue up, just get it roughed in. All right, so we are ready to glue the scales on this one. We'll get this one done, and while the epoxy is curing, we will work on the second one. All right, got her all clamped up. I'll clean up a bunch of the glue that's squeezed out. Okay, so the first one is all cured. We got the second one glued up, and it's pretty well cured up too. Last one I just got glued, so it's be a little bit before it's ready. So it's time to go finish shaping the handle, get those pins cut off, get it all polished up, get it on the buffing wheel, and sharpen it. Okay, so I'm ready to go hit the buffer. I got this hand sanded up to 800 grit. Put a little blue tape on there so I don't get any buffing compound in all those little grooves that are on the blade. So it is time to finish this thing up. All right, here they are, all finished out. All we got to do is sharpen them, and they will be finished. They all turned out pretty decent. So let's go over to the grinder and get these sharpened up. The way I like to sharpen is get a really worn out 400 grit belt, and that's about it. Just sharpen them on that and then strap them on a piece of leather. So that's all for that. You can see that little bevel right there, the secondary bevel. And it's got that burr on there. I don't know if you can see it. right in there. Anyway, take it over to the leather and strop it, and it'll be all sharp. Yep, it's good and sharp. Shaves hair. Well, here they are, all finished up, all three of them right here. Um, Feels pretty good to be able to make something like this out of an old Farrier Rasp and then donate it to a good cause, the Rodeo Bible Camp that's going on in town this coming week. So, anyway, the kids will get these as a gift or as a prize for something in the rodeo, either an event or maybe scripture memorization or something like that, however they want to use them. So, it feels pretty good to be able to donate to a good cause like that. So, anyway, if you haven't already, like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.